Hey YouTube, this is Doug. I'm going to teach you how to make some fried chicken. But as always, safety first. Alright, this is where I start. I'm not using an appliance or anything. I'm using a cast iron Dutch oven on the stove. And I heat the oil. I start around medium, and it takes about a half hour. You could speed the process up, but you don't want to burn your oil. So you can see where I'm at right now on the thermometer. Let me focus it in there. Okay, just a little over 200 right now. For my test, it takes about 30 minutes to get up to speed, so that's where I start that. Step 2, you should already have brined chicken in the refrigerator. And while this is getting up to temperature, that gives you time to set this up, dredging station. This is a 3-part process. I use the little plastic tubs with the lid so I can shake them. So there's my primary coating, and then I'm going to dunk it in there, which is going to have some milk and water in it. Then it's going to go to that, which I'm going to add black pepper and maybe some cinnamon to, and that's about it. Also, while you're waiting for the oil to heat up there, it's a good time to take the chicken out of the brine, and don't have to rinse it or anything. Just toss it out in a colander and let it get to room temperature. You can cook chicken right out of the fridge, but they say it's best to try to get a little bit to room temperature. Take some of that chill off before you drop it in the fryer. Also, while you're waiting for this, go ahead and set up your place where you're going to put your chicken. This is what I'm using. It's a rack out of the toaster. To have they don't laying around over a plate there to drain the chicken or whatever you have to drain it. I use a stainless steel spoon and stainless steel tongs to get it in and out of the pot there. So, still waiting. Come on. Come on. I want some chicken. Come on. Hurry. Okay, I just want to show you how I've rearranged my production flow. It's going to be chicken. First, flour coating, the dredge. Don't want to fill that all the way, by the way, because it's going to displace. When you stick the drumstick in there. I put some pepper and cinnamon in there as my final dredge, and then it goes right over here, over the paper towels, by the way, to the oil. And then, once I get those coated, I'll push those back out of the way to be able to get to that rack. So, just about heated up, and gonna be getting into some chicken action right now. Okay, we are up to temperature, and it is time to get some fried chicken going on. The chicken itself is off camera. So it goes in the dredge first, close the lid. Makes it a lot easier to deal with. I almost lost it there. Okay, and then do the dunk. See how it displaces. Put it in here. Put the lid on there. Well, actually with this I could probably do 2 at a time. All right, I'm going to dunk it in the oil, dunk it in nice and slow. Away. Watch out for that oil. Let's try 2 at a time. 2 at a time in there. By the way, these are going to have to go for about 15 minutes. 12 to 15 minutes, so go ahead and get a batch in there as quick as you can. One with the other one in there. Around and drop them in there. Okay, I don't want to crowd the pan, so I'm going to stop there and set my timer at 15 minutes. Okay, so the chicken is frying. The temperature got up to about 325, but it cools down a little bit. So as long as it's over 300, you're in good shape there. I've got my timer set, as you can see. About 11 minutes to go, so we'll just wait in the meantime. Everything's over here waiting. The chicken, it's been cold water all this time, so it's fine. Also, while you're frying, you can get in there with a spoon, stir it around a little bit. Sometimes there would be hot spots in there. It should be pretty even overall, but you can stir it around. And what you're doing is waiting for the timer, of course, to time out, and you're waiting for the chicken to float to the top. And when it gets to that golden brown color, it should be done. As long as it cooks at least 12 minutes, you're good. Okay, well, the timer just went off, and let me shut this thing off. And looking at the chicken here, well, not quite as brown as I want it, so I'm just going to keep a close eye on it till I see that brown color, and then I'm going to pull it up and put another batch in. Okay, so I've let it go for probably about 16 minutes, so I think that's going to be my magic time here. That's looking pretty good. Go ahead and lay that out there. Lay that out there. Drop it. Oh man, that's Popeyes right there. So yeah, it's all looking pretty good, and already got my next batch ready to get on in there. I'm going to put 4 in this time. Okay, as you can see, we got our golden fried chicken there resting, and it's draining off the rack there onto the paper towels. You do want to get in here and stir these around, though, because they will stick on the when you drop them in initially. So you want to get them to where they're not sticking to each other, or sometimes sticking to the bottom of the pan. Also, temperature, I really recommend getting one of those guys. They're not expensive, but if you don't have a thermometer, put it on medium, like you see I got over here on medium. Heat it for 30 minutes uncovered, and you should be in the range right there. Okay, another thing I'm noticing is I put 4 pieces in instead of 3. My thermometer, I'm just down below 300, so I bumped up my temperature up a little bit, just a tiny bit from right there in the middle. So that's something to consider when you're putting in more pieces of chicken. It affects the temperature. And always, you cook batches after batch, they're going to get browned a little bit quicker because of the stuff that goes to the bottom there. So keep an eye on that too. You want to remember to get that in at least 12 minutes or more before you pull it out. Okay, just took that batch out. I'm going to let it sit here for a minute so get a little bit more temperature. I'm going to drop 3 more pieces in there. Just pulled those 4 out there. Got those on the plate there. So those are draining, and those have already rested. By the way, if you're hungry, you still want to wait, make sure you rest that chicken before you eat it. First of all, it'll be hot, and second of all, it gives it extra time to cook. Make sure it's completely done. Okay, some other notes while that last batch is frying. I've got 3 pieces in there, so this is going to be a total of 10 pieces in this batch. Now, I like the way I did my flour in the dredge here because I thought it was pretty efficient. See how much flour I've got left over? That's a lot of flour. I could have used a lot less. And you're allowed to use, it would be easier to put a lot less in there, because when you're shaking this, trust me, I'm going to use a lot less next time, and as I need it, I can just add it in there, and I think I probably won't have near as much of that left over, so I can conserve some flour there. But overall, I think that's a good solution, especially with the lid, so you can just shake them, and you don't get as much stuff on your hands, just a couple on your fingertips, and that's it. You can use a splatter shield, but it's really not splattering that much and getting on the stove. It's just throwing up a lot of steam. But you can use the splatter shield, but if you don't have it, you're not really going to make a big mess. Okay, so the chicken's done, and I had to take a bite out of it, and I'm not going to have me chewing and smacking my lips on camera. But that chicken's got a lot of flavor, and that second dredging, if you put the seasonings on top, you'll really taste it. I can taste that pepper and cinnamon in the crust, and the inside's got a real, not a salty flavor, but it's a good flavor. So really happy with that. Another side note on the chicken, this chicken might be a little on the greasy side. I can't really tell yet, but you see that temperature there is hovering right around 300. You can see that. And a lot of the recipes I've seen online and cooks are saying they cook their chicken at a lot higher temperature, and it makes it less greasy. So you may want to opt for a little bit higher temperature if you're cooking a batch this big, 10 pieces. Another side note after a few more bites, it's on the salty side. I used a lot of salt for these 10 pieces. I used a half a cup of salt in that big old brining container down there. So probably could have used a little less salt, but not too salty, just enough.